partners to fully government-funded programs. The transition from programs that still require external support to those that are fully owned by national governments is key objective of the HGSF program. Nigeria's National Homegrown School Feeding Program is our focus today on Dateline 360. Since its formal launch in 2016, how far so far? We have updates from across the country. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Nigeria's Homegrown School Feeding Program was launched by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, at a special meeting of federal and state ministers and school feeding stakeholders in Abuja. According to the Vice President, 7.6 million children in 24 states across the country are fed daily under the federal government school feeding program, and federal government spends about 49 billion naira on the HGSF. The HGSF program, which aims to provide free school meals with food procured from local smallholder farmers, seeks to strengthen communities across the country by increasing school enrollment and completion, improving child nutrition and health, and strengthen local agricultural economies by providing a school feeding market in which farmers can sell their produce. The HGSF provides an innovative model in addressing food insecurity, agricultural development, and educational attainment simultaneously. This, however, can not be achieved without vested interest from agriculture, health, and education. Healthy, well-fed children learn better, and it's no surprise that according to a survey by News Agency of Nigeria, the HGSF program is boosting school enrollment across the country. It is an opportunity for smallholder farmers to cash in from access to a market with stable, structured, and predictable demand. About 185,000 elementary school pupils in Osun State now attend school regularly. Correspondent Olabode Arewa reports that the addition of food rich in vitamin A is boosting the pupils' mental health.
My mom said that about the food, they said that he used to make me come to school every day, and they like how they give me the food.
Tell me, where's your food?
Your food is finished.
So you like the food? Show me the plate. You have eaten the food? You have eaten the food?
In Osun State, from where the federal government adopted the program, at least 184,450 public school children in classes 1 to 4 receive a balanced meal each day consisting of carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, and minerals. The program facilitator in Osun State, Mrs. Olubumi Ayola, said deliberate efforts were made to include food items containing vitamin A, like the orange-fleshed sweet potato, in the children's diets.
We have a meal timetable that provides adequate nutrition for our children. The state of Osun caught the attention of the International Potato Center. They came down here and they introduced the orange-fleshed sweet potato to us. This crop is very rich in vitamin A. It contains a high percentage of beta-carotene, and the state government has bought into it. When we go around schools, we sing for the pupils, and when we sing, they are encouraged to take the food. Because initially when we started, we met with apathy. Because the crop is a kind of food they are not familiar with. But after some time, they even ask for more helpings.
The school feeding program has really helped the children in the school. It has improved their health. Because formally when the children come to school at times, they usually vomit very early in the morning because of what they might be given from home. But now we can see that the children are now very much okay, because in the school now they now take balanced diet.
A positive outcome of the homegrown school feeding program was the employment generated for about 3,000 food vendors who prepare the food, as well as farmers who supply the foodstuff.
Before this program started, I have nothing doing at home. I just wake up and sit in the morning. But this program has empowered me to at least to be able to feed my children and to do some other things in the family.
The program had no doubt helped to enhance the nation's educational standards.
Our next report from Awka, Anambra State, southeastern Nigeria, indicates that more than 100,000 pupils of public schools in 21 local government areas of Anambra State now have access to free meals every school day. Daniel Lupai also reports that the Imperial College London's Partnership for Child Development is looking at how to improve school children's health, nutrition, and education in Anambra and Enugu states.
The program, which began in 2016 in Anambra State with a pilot schools of barely 1,000 pupils, has gradually evolved into an initiative to reckon with. A check at some of the benefiting schools in the state reveals that the program has given hope to some of the indigent children and their parents as they eagerly look forward to having a very good meal on every school day.
It says that the children are no longer absent themselves from school. They're enjoying the food very well.
I take the statistics of this school, and that home grooming has given us a good improvement in the enrollment of this school.
The program aims to improve on the children's health and boost farming in the country, as all the foods are locally sourced. In one of the schools, the pupils were in the middle of the lunch when the crew visited. The children thanked the initiators of the program and prayed for its sustainability.
I thank the government giving us food every day. I want to thank the government for giving us food.
Parents who applauded the program, however, pointed out that those in nursery section that are not included in the initiative are the actual pupils who deserve the free meal.
And that program is supposed to be to cover all the classes so that the children will be happy. While others are eating, others are looking at them. And more recently, their food is too small. And the caretakers, they said that their money has been reduced. So the food is not enough for the children anymore. And the whole children are not inclusive.
2 years down the line, pupils of primaries 1 to 3 of public primary schools in Anambra State have reasons to appreciate the school feeding program for its numerous impact on their lives. Concerned parents say the program is a laudable initiative which, if sustained, will achieve its purpose and improve on the health condition of the benefiting pupils in the state.
Kano State is witnessing snail speed in the implementation of National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Why is this so? Fatima Sanusi Karaye in this report explains that this is because out of 1.5 million primary school pupils expected to benefit, only 600,000 are currently enjoying the program. She also adds that this may impede the progress recorded in the early stage of the introduction of the program in the state.
In Kano State, 6,000 out of the 8,000 primary schools have been selected in the pilot scheme of the National Homegrown Feeding Program, which was launched last year. The launching of the school feeding program was with the hope of encouraging enrollment and retention in primary schools, which elicit high degree of enthusiasm among parents and educationists in the state.
The food is really helping these children to learn very well in the class. When they come to the class, there is no food, their performance will be no good.
Under the program, about 1.5 million pupils are to benefit, but only half of this number are included, most of them from lower classes. These children are few out of the thousands of children being fed in Kano State. They are so happy to come to school because they know when they come to school, they will be fed. Investigation reveals that the slow nature of the implementation of the feeding program was attributed to the lack of adequate funding, among other challenges.
The challenges we are having is on the inconsistency of payment from the National Homegrown Office. The moment payment is done for at least 2 weeks period or maximum of 4 weeks, as long as that tranche is exhausted and no new payment is done, there is a drop in the school's attendance.
The template for the feeding program indicates that quality and balanced diet is served, which include rice and vegetables, eggs, fish, beans, yogurt, and juice, among others. I am here with my friend Zainab, and she is enjoying her rice and egg. Zainab, are you enjoying your food?
Yes.
In the last 2 years, over 300,000 pupils have enrolled in public primary schools in Cross River State. This is against the 200,000 previously had in the past years. Achibong Basi reports that the increased enrollment is not unconnected with the school feeding program introduced by the federal government.
Has helped the children to come to school every day. It has made children who could not eat from home come to school and feel free. The federal government have helped poor people to come to school, eat, and so much.
It's okay, it's fine. I like the way the state government, God to bless them for what they have done.
The benefits of the program are evident as it has improved the quality of life of these young pupils who did not have access to such nutritious meals before now. Incidences of pupils fainting in school because of hunger, which was rampant in public schools, have become a thing of the past. Lauding the success of the program in Cross River State, the Special Advisor to the state government, Homegrown School Feeding Program, Gabe Okulaja, said the impact of the program has been widely felt in the state.
It's been a huge success, going by where we came from. From zero of no feeding, we are currently feeding 168,069 pupils in Cross River. So beyond the children is an objective in the program which seeks to encourage the economic growth of localities. Also, our transporters are not left out. These things have to move up and down. So we have almost about 18 to 24 transporters retained on the program.
The children are saying thank you to the federal government for the program, and it is their hope that the program be sustained.
In Benue State, the program has recorded remarkable success. Godwin Alegu reports on the scorecard of the program 1 year after its launch in the state in 2017.
Not only has the homegrown school feeding program helped beneficiaries become better students, it has also boosted the economy and created new job opportunities for the people. So far, the program has engaged over 7,000 cooks, with over 500,000 pupils benefiting from more than 2,000 public primary schools in Benue State. Operations Manager, Benue State Homegrown School Feeding Program, John Garba Andohemba, says the program has impacted positively on the lives of many people in the state by improving the conditions of living of school children and increasing the number of enrollment to schools.
It has touched the lives of many. The children, the cooks, the communities who are part of the value chain. So it's a program that we pray should be sustained.
Lifot Abeni and Patricia Kusa are food vendors engaged by the Benue State office of the program. They commended President Muhammad Buhari for the initiative and urged him to sustain it.
We don't have anything doing before, but now at least we have a place to wake up in the morning, prepare and go to. And the little food that will remain after cooking is for our children.
I'm happy I'm eating everything my children are eating, so I'm happy.
Benefiting pupils also expressed gratitude to the federal government for the gesture.
I thank the government for giving us good food. I enjoy the food well.
The program brings a lot of people in the school because parents say that if you go to school, I will not cook in the morning. You will go and take your breakfast. So the preparation is improved. We have more than what we're supposed to have.
Disbursement of money to food vendors by the federal government and some cooks not going to the fields after collecting money are some of the challenges facing the program in Benue State.
The federal government's homegrown school feeding program is to commence in earnest in the Federal Capital Territory in January 2019. Shikiola Ipinaye in this report examines the level of preparedness for the takeoff of the program.
The strategy sets out simply how the federal, state and local governments are to work together to deliver the primary objectives of the program, namely the feeding of children in primary schools with healthy, nutritious meals prepared from local agricultural produce.
That sets the tone for what will soon be the largest national school feeding program in Africa.
We had stakeholders who have a role to play to the success of this program. We had the Association of Traders, we have the Poultry Association, we have the Bakers Association, we have bankers as the venue, we have officers from Health Secretariat, officers from Agri Secretariat, officers from UBE, from Education Secretariat, and all that. Traditional rulers, CSOs, to get a buy-in for the state.
All these programs that have been rolled out, part of this is rendering effective extension services to even the farmer on ground now, so that all of them can step up their level of production to meet up whatever level of demand.
Though the program is yet to take off in the FCT, I must tell you that the anticipation is quite high to start the program. I think it's because of the success stories recorded from other parts of the country that have started the program. I had an interaction with the program manager for the FCT, Victoria Leogena, who told me that preparations are already concluded for the January takeoff.
It is a multifaceted involvement from the Social Development Secretariat to the Agric Secretariat, the Universal Basic Education Board, UBEB, and all involved in actualizing the program. The projection for the 2018-2019 academic session ending in July 2019 is to feed 120,000 and free pupils from primary 1 to 3 in the 626 LEA primary schools in the FCT, with 1,200 vendors recruited for the exercise on a meal of 70 naira per day.
It is natural. Somebody might get sick. We are not praying for it. Somebody might even die. Now, in order that we don't have a gap, we don't have time lost, we have vendors in wait.
The obvious impact of the program cannot be overemphasized, ranging from the economic impact, educational impact, and nutritional impact.
This feeding now brings about enrollment and retention. We talked about health. You find out that the family budget income for health, for medicals, is reduced, which will invariably translate to a national economy. You want to key into such program. You see that their nutritional status is increased. You want to key into. You see that farmers, the food they produce, we're not having wastages because we have an outlet, to use that food.
One of the things that have been serving as discouragement to our people in the past is because sometimes when they produce and there's no off-taker, that's what brought in the anchor borrower. That as you produce, there's always some grant, somebody will take it.
For the Universal Basic Education Board, the body is already counting its gains.
Like one of my major role as head of social mobilization department is to sensitize and mobilize the rural populace, the grassroots, people that our children that are drop out, to sensitize to make sure that they are enrolled. And the coming of this program has enhanced that capacity, because many of these pupils are now coming to school. You know, getting, the news, information about the feeding program alone has attracted a lot of people, which is a very good advantage of this program.
For the FCT administration, there are no fears over the success or the sustainability of the program, based on the implementation strategies on ground, and of course the ability to block all envisaged loopholes through shared experience from other states of the Federation that have started the program.
The HGSF program is part of a 500 billion naira funded social intervention program announced by the Buhari administration to tackle poverty and improve the health education of children and other vulnerable groups. When fully realized, the school feeding component of this program aims to support states to collectively feed over 24 million school children, which will make it the largest school feeding program of its kind in Africa. The HGSF has grown quickly to provide hot, nutritionally balanced school meals to millions of children in the country. The program has been described as a win-win-win for the communities who are engaged with the programs. Children benefit from the meals. Local economies benefit from the employment opportunities in catering, processing, and farming, among others. In fact, over 72,000 cooks have been trained and hired as part of the program. The HGSF is currently working with 24 states' governments to provide meals in over 50,000 schools. The target is for a fully national program covering 36 states by the end of 2018. That's it on Dateline 360 this week. We appreciate your time with us. Keep a date with us next week for another exciting package. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Bye for now.
يا مالك الملك ذو الجلال.
The campaigns are here, preparatory to the 2019 general elections. Yes, for the presidential and National Assembly positions. This is in line with the timetable and schedule of activities issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Is also in accordance with the Section 91, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2010 that prohibits campaigns by political parties earlier than 90 days before Elections Day. The electoral body expects political parties to conduct their activities in an organized and peaceful manner, devoid of rancor, hate, or inflammatory speeches. President Muhammadu Buhari kicked off his campaign for re-election with the launch of a campaign manual, the Next Level document, with appeal to politicians to go about the campaigns peacefully with the interests of the nation paramount at heart. In the words of Mr. President, we have no other country than Nigeria. Let us not set it ablaze because of politics. How well do politicians understand issue-based campaigns rather than of hatred and abuses? And this is coming at the time the nation is fighting against hate speech and fake news. How about the electorate in embracing the principles of politics without bitterness? Where is the place of sportsmanship to advance democracy and the desired political culture for the country? Answers after this report by Timothy Yusuf.
Political parties have begun electioneering campaigns for presidential and National Assembly elections in line with the timetable and schedule of political activities released by INEC for 2019 general elections. The presidential candidates for the two major political parties formally launched their electioneering campaigns with the presentation of their policy documents. In the next 3 months, the parties are expected to crisscross all states of the Federation to sell their manifestos to convince the electorate to vote for their candidates. The governing APC tagged its campaign The Next Level, in which the presidential candidate, President Muhammadu Buhari, said, and I quote, "The next 4 years will be quite significant for our country. Nigerians are faced with a choice to keep building a new Nigeria, making a break from its tainted past which favored an opportunistic few. Our choices will shape us, our economic security, and our future prosperity. He, more than ever before, needs a stable and people-focused government to move their agenda for our country forward. Join us on this journey to the next level of a prosperous, strong, and stable Nigeria." End of quote.
We implemented a responsible and transparent fiscal plan for the challenging economic times that saw us doing more even with lesser oil revenues.
Similarly, the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar also kick-started his campaign with the launch of People's Policy, which he tagged "My Plan to Get Nigeria Working Again." The PDP candidate said, and I quote, "I believe in setting goals and coming up with the realistic plans and policies to achieving those goals." End of quote.
When I was Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, from 1999 to 2007, I chaired the National Economic Council. That gave Nigeria her highest and most consistent GDP growth.
The presidential candidates of the People's Trust, Benga Olaweko Hashim and Dr. Johnson Edonwosa, also commenced campaigns with interaction with the people.
We will unite Nigeria. We will fight ethnicity.
And this 10-point agenda, will help us transform Nigeria from point A to Z.
We have a lot more in common to continue to work together.
As the candidates move about their campaigns, the electoral management body, just like the electorate, expects the political parties to conduct their activities in an organized and peaceful manner, devoid of rancor, hate speech, or inflammatory comments.
I call upon political parties and candidates to strictly adhere to these dates.
Nigerians should expect forensic campaigns.
And what we expect is a situation where there will be that atmosphere of, issue-based campaign.
President Muhammadu Buhari is already calm. There's no wastage of money. You can't see campaign vehicles running here and there. You can't see all those stops.
Personal attacks and mere shouting of party slogans at campaign grounds are expected to become a thing of the past with renewed focus on key national issues. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Well, thank you, Timothy. I have in the studio Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu, former minority leader under the ANPP. He ran for governorship for APC in the House of, in the House of Representatives, and ran for governorship for CPC under, the CPC, represent Binnenkudu and Bebeji Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. Before then, he is a businessman and a chieftain now of the APC. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I have Idayat Hassan, Director, Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. She is a lawyer and development practitioner. Welcome to the program, madam.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, at our Maiduguri Network Center, we're expecting to have Comrade Zanna Shatima. He's from the Labour Party. And we have the National Chairman, Democratic People's Party, DPP, in our Port Harcourt Network Center, Mr. Gerson Benson. We are expecting the representative of the PDP, who we invited, but they're yet to come. But the stage is still open for them. We heard from the head of the Atiku Media Office, Paul Ibe, saying that they might not participate. But in any case, we still have the invitation open. You welcome Aliyu Baba Baro. You're welcome once again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, Madam, let me start from you. The observatory from the people's view, before I come to the politicians, so to speak. How do you see the Nigeria's political development today, preparatory to 2019 elections?
Yeah, these are very exciting times. As you know, once it's election in Nigeria, it's just like Christmas. Everybody is excited. It's the whole atmosphere changes. Yes, lots of positives since campaign began yesterday. Most of the party candidates have already released their policy documents, and it's now time for us to actually engage with it. But again, while there are policy documents on ground, if you look at what has happened today in the context of what issue-based campaign should actually be, and I take a cue from the social media, we expect people to actually be campaigning on issues. What are issue-based politics itself? It's about telling people basically what you want to do, how you actually want to achieve it without getting into vitriol, hate speech, fake news. But it has been a very, very exciting day, in particular for the two frontline parties. But this is just the beginning, and I know that this time around the citizens are very, very interested in what people really want to put on the table. And actually, they all have a lot to put on the table because the two frontline political parties have already been in government. So they are campaigning on what they have previously done. And the next level, if I can borrow from the APC, where they actually want to take Nigerians to. So it should be about issues. It should not be about personalities. It should not be about hate speeches. It should not be about bringing things to further convince people. Because this is not the battle just for votes, but the battle for the soul of Nigeria. If we campaign and we use issues, we bring up ethnicity, we bring up religion, we deride ourselves, at the end of the day, there will be Nigeria. But what kind of Nigeria do we really want?
What kind of Nigeria do we really want? Actually, but it says that politics is a platform for reconciliation of interest. Do we practice that on that basis to reconcile interests among political parties and people's choice? We have a range of choices. That's why we have numerous political parties. How do you see the practice in this country today?
Well, let me start by congratulating both the PDP, the APC, and other parties for the first time in this country that the parties are talking about issues, at least based on what is on the ground now. And I hope and pray that all of us, politicians and both parties, will go by the ethics of our parties, our constitution, our people, just like what Madam said. We should have a country first. That should be Nigeria. And I'm sure this time around, Nigerians are not willing to take hate speech. Nigerians will not take, spoiling people's name, like name calling, or to do things that will further divide the country. And thank God, the two major parties have now at least presented 2 herdsmen, 2 Muslims, 2 Fulanis. So at least the major issue that divides the country, religion, is put aside for now. Just like back in the days, there was a time when we had Olufalaye and Olusegun Obasanjo, both Christians. So, whenever we have religion at the back, so that we understand we have our country, one people, one destination. What do politicians want to be? What do we want this country to become? Like, what does the APC want to continue doing? Next level. PDP said, working Nigeria back, getting Nigeria work again. Okay, we're all working for Nigeria. Now, it's left for the people to understand. And I call on my colleagues and friends that please let's not talk about individuals. Let's talk about issues, what APC has done in the last 3.5 years, and what PDP has done in 16 years. Compare and contrast, and let the people decide.
Yes, letting the people decide. Let's talk to Comrade Zanna Shetima from our Maiduguri Network Center. How do you observe the issue today, talking about people to decide, campaign of issues, rather than hatred, hate speech, and what have you? How do you see the situation
now? As the past speakers said, this time around, we should focus on Nigeria. And we should also discuss politics of issue, devoid of any rancor. But this could not be achieved because political thuggery and money politics is still involved. And unless and until this vote buying and money politics is stopped, it will still be very difficult for this country to have a peaceful politics. And why am I saying that? We still don't have a correct and independent, credible institutional framework to deal with this political thuggery. I will call on the government to look into, without further delay, to put in place a credible and independent, institution that will focus and contain all this political thuggery. Number 2, they should also direct all the security operatives to decisively deal with any violence, political violence, be it political violence or any thuggery. Then the politics will be more peaceful than expected. We have seen the few states who have conducted their elections in the few past months, and this will inform us that we still have a lot to do in order to achieve what we want in 2019.
Mr. Benson from Port Harcourt, how do you see the situation?
Well, good evening, viewers. Issue-based campaign has always been there in Nigerian politics. But most often, when each of the parties win, do they realize that they mention anything at all to the electorate? Do they even realize that the political party upon whose platform they won the election has any form of manifesto? Because every political party should have a constitution, should have a manifesto as a political party. Those issues are there. The challenges of the nations are there. But how often does each of the successive governments ever and ever implemented it to the people of this country? And that is why every time we talk of issue-based campaign, yes, it has to be there, and they will reel out to tell you that, oh, electricity is a problem, unemployment is a problem, health is a problem, education is a problem. But in successive government, after telling all that, that government will now embark on medical tourism outside the shores of Nigeria. So, yes, this time is critical to Nigerians. awareness is very high, and Nigerians want to really have value for their votes. There is a lot of education now on how PVCs must decide on what happens. If, no matter whatever I tell Nigerians, anytime we come to a point where the people's vote count, based on the discourse or campaign during the election, and the electorate have to make choice between Party A, Party B, and Party C, and those things they have to let them know during the campaigns, then it is when we say that, oh, we are trying to get it right. Like the Medugri center person I just said, yes, if you look at Ekiti State, it's no question of issue-based campaign. Parties went there to campaign and all the, what you can say, but then what happened? Vote buying on a very high scale. If you look at what has happened in Osun, we are equally in Osun, it's no longer what people campaign. It's no longer whether the issues are being told to the people or not, but it's exactly who is going to pay the highest amount of money to pick up the people's vote. So there are a distinction there between issue-based campaign and the result of the issue-based campaign based on the outcome of the election results. So it's a very everybody has to look at it. And if you watch well, each year after election, our national life keeps deteriorating. People are getting more hungry than before the election and all that. We have to look at it. Our security keeps deteriorating. So what is the problem? Each government has a responsibility, first of all, to secure the life and property of our citizens. For each successive government, if you look at what happened from Obasanjo to Yaradua to Jonathan and to the present Mohamed Buhari government, national security life is deteriorating to the dislike of Nigerians. So what do we do? Yes, parties are still going to campaign alongside issues based on what they have in their manifestos, because manifestos are supposed to be a handbill of every political party to approach the electorate on the basis of this. This is where we stand. This is how we're going to solve our national problem if you vote us into power. But at the point of voting now, to vote according to their conscience and according to the choice based on what politicians and during the campaign, and based on what they placed there in their manifestos. What, again, because people are hungry, they can now go there and decide to forget what they want to do, and he who pays the highest bidder, they now go that way. And when that happens, when the conscience of the people does not manifest or translate to the real result of that election, we still have the problems we have. It becomes a recurrent decimal.
Are we talking about the elections proper now? One fundamental thing he said, Honorable Farouk, he says the conscience of the people should translate to reality. Do we need more education? We always bring this forward. Philosophically, it says that an enlightened society is easy to govern but hard to oppress. An unenlightened society is easy to oppress and hard to govern. Do we still have an unenlightened society? Because it takes two to tango. The politicians and the electorates and the social system generally. Do we have educated preparation, that should charge the politicians to give us what we want? Politics without bitterness, politics with ideology.
Well, you see, if you look at the country, we should also understand the politicians and the masses were all product of this country. We're one and the same. The politicians did not they did not drop from heaven. So we are the same people, and there need to be voter education. The citizens to understand that the politicians have a duty and they also have a duty. Let me give you an example. I was in the House of Representatives and there are still members there. In most of the constituencies, when you go to your constituency, nobody is going to ask you whether you have participated in passing a bill, or what's an act, or what have you done to bring about good governance. But the people back home will ask you, my son is going back to school, I need to go to hospital, I need money for naming ceremony, these kind of things. So the people also have responsibility to ensure that they don't tax the politicians. They don't come after the politicians to give them money. When you talk about vote buying, yes, it's true, there is vote buying in the country, but then let the people understand that, look, when politicians give you money, it's their money, it's your people's money. So let us as a nation agree that, look, no more vote by any party. Yes. And that people should not, yes, we campaign on issues, but then let also the masses understand. Let them not vote for people with more money instead of voting for people that can do the work. Or, you find out that in some constituencies, the electorates themselves don't help matters. So I want all of us as a nation to agree that, look, okay, when the masses are saying the politicians are not doing things right, are the electorate also doing their own bit? I think from now, the electors should also understand that it's our country, it's one people, and that if they tax the politicians will go after themselves instead of going after all of us.
Yes. Well, coming to these tasking the politicians, but I deliberately asked you that question on the issue of enlightenment on the part of the electorate. I'm coming to Comrade Zanna, I'm coming to you, Madam. Comrade Zanna Shatima should respond to certain very vital issue which Mr. Benson pointed out from Port Harcourt. He said he traced an example of what continues to happen as a recurrent decimal in this country, talking about security. Immediately after elections, security deteriorates. You are in Maiduguri, in Borno State. We knew the manifesto of the current administration on the issue of security. How will the electoral respond on that in that part of the country, Northeast? Did the party respond to the cause of the people and their security? Yes.
First and foremost, the security issue, if we want 2019 to succeed, we should still come back to the issue of voter education. The problem in the entire politicking is this violence. Violence, political violence, electoral violence, and at the same time, thuggery. You see, and the system encourages this. For example, if you go to Adamawa, there is what they call Eng Shila. Here coming to Borno, we have Ekomok. If you go to Abia, you have Bakassi boys, and in Bayelsi, Ekbesu, etc., etc. So these people were given more powers by the system than even our security. Now what I will suggest is here in Maiduguri, Maiduguri is doing fine, the security operatives are doing well, but we must need to educate the youth. In this country, up to about 200 million, 50% of our population are the youth. So we must have to educate the youth, the women, and this education, the media, traditional rulers, and religious leaders must partake in this educating the society. Unless otherwise, the security, the state is under threat by who? Political violence and electoral violence. These people were non-touchable because they were sponsored by their bosses. And who are those bosses? The bosses on top in every state. So we should look at it in two ways. Politically, the government should come and encourage this political awareness right from our primary up to the tertiary level. I could have suggested that it should be added to our school curriculum. But mere politicking while campaigning is not yet enough. So this is the situation. But the security operatives on their own aspect, they still need to be encouraged. How? By giving them proper pay and supplying them with the necessary equipment to combat any type of crime. You see, like now in Maiduguri, here in Borno State, we have the issue of Boko Haram. Sometimes you see that they even overpower the military and go away with the equipments of the military operatives. So here we demand, and there is the need for the government to supply enough facility, arms and ammunition, training and retraining, and then proper pay allowances to the military and the police officers to take care of the security as well. So that's my contribution as far as security is concerned.
Let me come to you. Just we continue about the issue of taking two to tango. You know, the principle of social contract dictates the fact that there's a symbiotic relationship between the government and the governed. The electorate, as far as elections is concerned, is not just the issue of INEC, which is the superintendent umpires of elections. What of the electorate themselves and the issue of the politicians in that part to come together? He's talking about, Zana is talking about voter education, the youth, and what have you.
I think it's a two-way thing, actually. There is the fault. We have to place it on two scales. One is the voters, actually. We have to do more and start talking in terms of what is the worth of a vote, really. What's the worth of your vote? What is the essence of going under the scorching sun for like 5 hours to cast a vote that does not deliver development to you? Then should you sell your vote? If you sell your vote, that is like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Maybe it's the vote we have been selling since 1999 that has made us to reach this level. So we have to do more. We have to let the people really understand. But you also have to understand that this is also, people do not, going on the field, and somebody that works really in the areas of election myself, what we've also noted is that people sell their votes because of what is the prevalent situation in the country. So where salaries are not being paid for months, where people have different challenges, it becomes easy. That 5,000 naira. In fact, I gave an example of a colleague who was working with us, and he is from the United States of America, and he was like, what? If I'm going to get like $15, that means I could have voted in the 2016 presidential elections in the US. And vote buying is not just a phenomenon locally, it's all over the world. So while we talk in terms of getting our people to understand, we have to also go back to the political class themselves, who go to the constituency to make lots of promises that they are not able to fulfill. He is somebody who is running for a legislative office. We claim, I will buy you keke napep 1 million, I will do this for you, I will do that, which are not his or her responsibilities. The responsibilities are actually to make law. Then again, who utilizes this violence we've been talking about? There is nobody who instrumentalizes the youth or those militia groups more than the political class. And it's the lack of the issue-based politics. It's the lack of the fact that they do not believe in playing on a level playing ground. That if I sell my programs and I say what the implementation plan will be, or I even buy votes, people will still not vote for me. That is why people resort to that level of violence you find in during elections. So he has mentioned like 4 or 5, but as of today we know we have more than 22 different groups across the 36 states of the country. And by 22, it means that if you are talking about Sarasuka, you find that they are operating in like 3 or 4 northern states, not just one states like that. That is why they are little. You go to the south, the Baltics are plenty, the Icelander, the Vikings. All these groups are actors because this is also a money-making venture for them. But what we really have to put on the table is that people have to know that the quality of the campaign itself will determine the quality of governance. Now, campaign has even been taken beyond that violence to talk more in terms of disinformation. And that is what worries actors like myself. Because when you are on social media or when you are using electronic media to perform disinformation, which is more insidious than hate speeches, or even the misinformation or fake news, what you are trying to do is that you are trying to just kill the whole entity. You are dividing people on ethnic line. You are dividing people on religious line. You are looking at what previous grievances are, and you are building it. And when you continue to do that, there are many places in the world today that if we start making example, we know where they are at this point in time. Those are places countries we should be looking up to, but we cannot afford to look up to them. And I'm beginning to believe that also our political class are beginning to borrow from those kinds of countries. And what we should be asking is that if there is actually no country, will there be politicians?
Yes.
You need people, you need citizens for you to rule over. That is when you can talk of having a government and you can have the governed.
Yeah, that is what Mr. President was talking about during the kickoff of his campaign, talking about we need to have a country. Let me go to Port Harcourt. Mr. Benson, talking about needing to have a country, we put forward the interest of the nation first before any individualistic interest, let me put it that way. Do politicians take advantage of the electorates who need absolute awareness in order to know what to do? Especially talking about ideology of the political parties, ideology of individuals who wants to offer their services to the people. We serve is up to offer service or just to campaign for electoral office?
Yes, Nigerian electorate know that they need a country, and Nigerians know that they need a country. Most of our security challenges that brings about the question of we need a country first before we talk about election is induced. And 80% is politically motivated. And that is why you see people react the way they did. And again, at the center, our leaders are not active in nipping certain things in the bud before it has to happen. One reason why you know that Nigerians really need a country is this. In every progressive election, there is a lot of apathy. If you compare the level of voters turnout in Ekiti, the previous election, and this immediate last one, governorship election, vis-a-vis what happened in Osun, the previous one, and you can now understand that, yes, Nigerians need a country, and instead of them to be there and then cause any trouble or to be hurt or to be killed, then they decide to stay at home. They know, most often they think that our election results are predetermined even before the election day. Everybody wants peace. And it's the responsibility of the government. Our constitution made it very, very open that the first charge of every government is to provide security for the law and for the lives and property of our citizens. And that is why if you are unable to do that, you begin to ask truly if you have a country. Now take for example, most often if you go to Maiduguri, the Boko Haram has more sophisticated weapons than a country called Nigeria. And that is why sometimes they easily overrun our military establishment out there to the extent of sacking military barrack, which is not the best. Our armies are properly trained, our armies are dedicated, and yet they are not properly equipped. They are not properly motivated. These are the problems we have. Then talk about whether we need a country or not. We need a country. Then institution comes in. Nigerian police as it is today does not see themselves as a Nigerian police that are there for everybody in this country when it comes to election. No. They see themselves as a station of any state where any party is there as governor or local government and all that. The police commissioner there, depending on the relationship, the DPO in the local government sees himself as part and parcel of the executive arm of that government that is there. The same thing goes at the center. And when the institution, police as an institution, cannot provide a leveling playing ground, secure everybody in electoral, in a polling booth, so many political parties will be hitting the road very soon. How many of them is going to get police protection or escort or what have you? So each time, any government, when it was PDP at the center, the police see themselves as an extension of PDP. Now that it's APC at the center, Nigerian police see themselves as an extension of APC. We shouldn't avoid that until the security apparatus stays at the middle and say, look, we are institution. Our basic responsibility is to the life and property of our citizens and give everybody equal right to live. Then we begin to talk about whether we have a country. Yes, Nigerians are one of the most peaceful countries that anybody can rule. When you do what is right, Nigerians will definitely have to obey. There are countries where you have all manner of crises we have in this country. That country would have degenerated. Look at in the whole of the South, you have the militancy, you have the court group, you have all manner of problems out. Northeast, the Boko Haram is still persisting. Go to Northwest, you have situations out there. Go to the Southwest, you have a peculiar problem. Then in the Southeast again, the agitation for Biafra and all that, these are distractions here and there. But we still have a country. We still keep going on. It's not left with the leadership to just come out to say, look, Nigerians are very good people. The Nigerians are ready to abide by the rules of every game. Our leadership to say, okay, we met this level of insecurity. Where are we now? We met this level of deteriorated infrastructure. Where are we now? And so, for me, we need this country, first of all, before we think of, oh, we want to think of doing election. I said this some time ago. The food basket of Nigeria is the middle belt, mostly Benue. The problem in Benue has overlasted for a very long time. What is happening? People who are going to feed ordinary Nigerians. So our leaders should make sure that institutions should work and they should be independent of the leadership of the country at the center at every point in time.
One vital issue he speaks about, and then talking about security actually, let's have a reflective view of what happened in 2015. There were some apprehensions that PDP owned the police, but it turned out differently. We had a free flow of information as far as elections are concerned. And there are lots of progress as far as security is concerned, yes. I want you to respond to those aspects.
Yes, actually, you see, when we talk about government, who is government? All of us are government. You know what I'm saying? Those in authority hold the government in trust on behalf of all of us. So there is need for cooperation. Now let me talk about this security issue. It is unfair if any Nigerian talks about Nigerian police like the way my friend Benson did. Because look, you said it rightly. During the 2015 election, the former IG of police and all of them, you saw what happened with Orubebe. If the police were compromised, if the Nigerian police wanted, or if the security agencies in this country wanted, if Jonathan Goodluck had, also behaved the way some people wanted. So I think it is not fair to say that they go for the government. No, they try but we're all Nigerians. They try as much as possible to do some balancing. And also, the security issues in this country, let us be fair also, that in some years back, before 2015, the person in Maiduguri knows truly that before this government came, 17 local governments were under the control of Boko Haram. And if anybody in this country, even I challenge anybody in Maiduguri today, before this government came, Maiduguri was probably under curfew, sometimes 24 hours curfew. And you know that today, as of today, in Northeast, in other parts of the country, in northeastern part of the country, there is significant improvement. We did not say Boko Haram has gone. No. But there is certainly significant improvement. In Abuja here, police headquarters was bombed. UN headquarters was bombed. This day newspaper, Kaduna, Kano, all over the place. When was the last time you had serious issues like that? But yes, it's true. There are issues in Zamfara, in Benue, and other places. Let me also put to us Nigerians that, unfortunately and sadly, some of these things are politically motivated, politically induced. Look at what has happened in Plateau State or in Benue, where they talk about herdsmen, Fulani, and so on. When the governor, that's why unfortunately I have no PDP member here, when the governor of APC or of Benue was with us, and he wanted to leave. All the time, herdsmen, Fulani. He moved to PDP. All of a sudden, herdsmen, Fulani, no more issues. These kind of issues, these kind of things. So let's all politicians also, that look, let us not play with the lives of the people. And let us cooperate with authorities, whether PDP, APC, or anybody, or his own party. That you need the country, you need the cooperation of the people. The people need to give information. And also this government has done, not enough, of course, I cannot say they've done everything. But honestly, there is significant improvement in arming the armed forces, giving them what is needed, to improve the livelihood of the country and the people. So there is some improvement in security in Maiduguri. And I put it to Zana, to say that there is no improvement in Maiduguri.
No,
and I'm sure there is.
That was exactly what I asked him, and he acknowledged the fact that there's
but
only the pockets of all these things he was
which
talking
is still
about.
there. Of course,
Yes.
nobody is saying that
Yes.
Maiduguri is squeaky clean.
Yes.
But it is better than 2015. No doubt about that.
We have some callers online. Hello, you're welcome. This is Tuesday Live. Hello, you're welcome.
Good evening to you all.
Good evening. Yes.
I totally agree with what Mr. Farouk is saying, but the issue that I want to raise in this discussion is that security situation in Nigeria is becoming something else. The government needs to know that while they have other means of fighting these insurgents, these criminals have a fresh way or have another tactics of bringing another attack to the people of Nigeria. So the government needs to be on the same level that these people are thinking, or if not even ahead of them. In 2015, we don't have bandits in Zamfara. We don't have this kidnapping and this thing. So if you block this way, they will definitely have another way to come through a leeway to inflict terror to Nigeria. And every country knows that the principal issue, that the main reason that we vote, even the main reason that we vote out PDP and bring in APC is that we are fed up with the way the security issues are being handled in this country. And we thought it was the PDP government that are kind of reluctant about these issues. Now the APC government, some other issues have come up. And unfortunately for us, the government are not...
Well, thank you. We've gotten that.
About
lost. Okay.
Tackling this issue. So now, an ordinary Nigerian that knows what he's doing will know that is he going for APC or PDP? Because the issue is that we just block everything. The security issues it needs to be tackled, and the government needs to be ahead of this issue, not under the insurgents.
Yeah, if you've heard you heard what.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. If you heard what Honorable Farouk Lawal said, is that some of these things are generally induced by hate speech. I'm sorry to say politicians themselves and what have you. And talking about really tackling, let's be mindful of the fact that we are discussing elections 2019 and the way we go about it now that the campaign avenue is open. Let's come back to Madam. Let's talk about. I want us to really hit, the nail on the head, talking about the electorate themselves, voter education. Honorable Farouk Aliyu talked about you go home as a politician because you occupied one position or the other. Everybody come to you. I have a naming ceremony in my house or all these kind of things. The social system generally, and the issue lets the people see politics, just as we said earlier, as a platform for reconciliation of interests. And you have the issue of representation. You have your representative who really put forward your interest. How do we develop that and nurture that so that we don't just see the politician, the security person, the electorate themselves, the voters? How do we sensitize the community, everybody?
Yeah, I think in terms of voter education, a lot has actually been done. And with each passing year, we keep improving on how we do our voter education. If you will notice, until 2015, we were not talking issue-based politics. That was like the first time that word came on the platform, where we had lots of initiatives, even deconstructing what the manifesto of the political parties really is all about. But again, it goes back to the fact that this is already a patronage system. It's not just about the voters. Maybe because I'm a field person, it's election, I'm there, I'm talking to them, I'm talking to the political class, so I tend to know. It's a patronage system. So don't blame the voters. The political class are also putting so much on the table. So they don't even want to talk about issues. They want to talk about the clothes they are going to give you, the 20,000 naira, the 5,000 naira, the 10,000 naira, aside from the kind of promises that they know that the resources are not even available to actually do that. Then who really votes in Nigeria? The middle class, who can also deconstruct some of these issues, are not voting. They are not voting, maybe either out of apathy, which of course stems to bad governance again. So they are not voting. They are just waiting there. So the people who determines the future of the people are people who are mostly at the grassroots level and who understand. Now again, it is also improper for us to say that it is everybody who sell their votes. Because when you understand the geography of different parts of the country, you discover that people know what they want. Some people collect money, and after they collect money, they vote their conscience. And that is why you saw that the political class then improved their way of mandate protection to say snap and show or something. So you are just going to snap your vote, and as evidence, they will then give you the money. In some elections, they gave 2,000 first. When you show evidence, you collect your 3,000 naira. And people collected three times. So these are issues. Everybody is coming up with the way. But the majority of the fault, again, goes to the political class. Now, what do we do with the people? I think when we start doing this kind of voter education, which is not just the responsibility of I, but the responsibility of the media, and the bulk of the responsibility of voter education is actually on the political party. That is what they are there for. Everybody must campaign for vote. And when you are campaigning for vote, you are not campaigning for vote or money. What am I doing for you? What am I bringing on the table? And I'm going to give you education. I'm going to do it within this period. I'm going to do it. If you sell your vote, 5,000 naira, for instance, with 365 days in a year, add another 6. That will come up to like maybe 1,300 days or more. You share that 5,000 naira by 3,000 times. It will begin to resonate with the people. But again, all this might be idealistic.
Should the people sell their conscience?
They are kind of idealistic.
Yes,
because if I go and tell them that it is 1 naira, if you sell it for, or 50 kobo, if you divide it by 1,300 days, it's idealistic because, again, it's about governance that is actually on ground. So if I have no food, and it's that 5,000 naira that we feed a family of 7, you will prefer to take the 5,000 naira. And that is why it goes to what exactly democracy is. Until the government in power at all levels start delivering democracy, and by democracy, the people, they don't want all those big words. Participation is not what they want. So democracy is about public goods and services. So if it is water, if it is jobs, if it is that thing that takes poverty away from me, by the time things are working, it is not going to be.
One begins to wonder, Madam, when will things get working?
It is when the political class are delivering on their promises.
Yeah, if we take, for instance, what the government is doing, Anchor Borrower Scheme and all these things, meeting the farmers at home and all these things, and yet I have my uncle in the village who now cultivates lots of crops and sells and gets his money. But yet that particular uncle will still go and collect money from politicians, 5,000, 2,000, when he can get a lot of money there.
Some is also out of greed, but it is not everybody. So there is the greed factor.
So
in fact, I tell people that in northern Nigeria, maybe people do not really understand the politics. The way they do their mandate protection, that's the first place we saw in Kano and Bauchi where people went to INEC and they made sure that the result is actually declared.
Good, yes.
Since they have been having these off-cycle elections, I think the election in Bauchi, the senatorial election, the first one they did, and 12 parties contested. I wanted to check one thing. I wanted to check that with 12 parties, will these people know the people to actually vote for and the number of void votes? Again, we found out that, in fact, the GNP, the PDP, and the APC, they voted these three parties were the forerunner with the APC winning, showing that it is not about illiteracy. It is just people are aware, they know what they want to do, they know what they want to do, and they make their decision. And it is not everybody. Then again, you ask yourself, let me be the devil's advocate. Some people feel that once you are elected into office, you are not going to come back and give them anything. So that 5,000 is like their birthright. They are getting their own. So while we are changing the mindset of the citizens, the political class, especially the other parties who do not have money, will have to, they do not have that kind of war chest the two dominant parties have, will also have to work in terms of selling themselves and getting involved in voter education.
Yes, that is what Honorable Farouk Ali was talking about, charge the politicians. This public awareness that you talk about Bauchi State should be replicated across the Federation, yes. Yes, we have a caller on the line. Yes, you're welcome. This is Tuesday Live. Hello. Hello. Okay, we don't have that. Well, let's go to Zanna. That was the point. Hello. Hello, go ahead, yes.
Hello.
Go ahead and speak, yes.
Hello,
Tuesday Live.
can I hear you? Hello.
Talk, yeah, we can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead and talk. Or maybe he wouldn't get us now. And let's go to Maiduguri. Zanna, that was the question that put forward to you earlier about security, which Honorable Farouk Ali expatiated, talking about improvement of the security in that aspect. But I want you now to take a look at yourself as a politician. What do your people want? How do you present your agenda to the people? Do you have ideology that will respond to the hopes and aspirations of the people, so that people should see themselves as demanding their right? You are there to represent them and perhaps give them service delivery.
I earlier on acknowledged, yes, there is tremendous improvement on the security aspect. Some years back, here in Maiduguri, people don't go to mosques, people don't even stay in their house, people don't go to school, etc. But today, Maiduguri was capped. We only have one route, that is Damaturu-Kano Road. All other roads were closed down. But today, you can travel to Gamborungala, Banki, Abadam, Monguno, so on and so forth. There is no argument about that. But the main topic we are talking about is about 2019 election, the politicians and the voters. So I still insist that the voter has to be educated to realize and understand that it is his constitutional right not to sell this vote and to vote for the person of his choice. What I'm trying to emphasize is there must be an understanding between the voter and the politician. Like people will come and say, we'll build road, construct boreholes, education, health, etc. At the end of the day, you see nothing. So I'm saying that the downtrodden, for example, the worker, the carpenter, the vulcanizer, the shoemaker, should insist, and they must be educated to know their own sovereignty. They should argue with the politicians, what are they going to do for them? It is not only a matter of belonging to a political party, but I still maintain that it is an issue of participation, unless and until the poor Nigerian man understands that there is a contract between him and the person seeking for election. There must be an agreement that all these politicians should come, bring their children from abroad and allow them to go to school with our own children. We attend the same hospital. We go into the same market before we can now agree to vote for any person. These are the type of agreement and the enlightenment I want. Like Madam said, that it is not about participation. Democracy is not about belonging, but democracy is all about participation. So, as I earlier mentioned, there is no two way about it. There is tremendous improvement on security. People are going anywhere. People are doing their businesses. Unless just nowadays we experience some attack here and there. But I still insist and maintain that the education will improve our politicking. Without the voter knowing, the common man knowing his rights, what he's supposed to do, ask questions of what he wants, and they must participate, dictate to the person in power what they want and what they will do. Then the democracy will now come to stay, as the earlier speaker mentioned. So this is my argument.
Let's go to Port Harcourt to talk to Mr. Benson. We've been talking about voter education, the electoral, the social system generally. Whose responsibility to educate them? Yes, of course. We have government agencies, national orientation, the media organization, the NTA. We have so many jingles. We have so many public fora, and especially from the Ministry for Information and Culture, and so many agencies are going. What of the responsibility of the people themselves? And of course, you talk about many people, when they see elections period comes, they talk about INEC. All eyes are on INEC. How do we ensure that voter education you expect? And you, as a politician, how do you communicate to the public, to your voters, in order to do the real thing?
Well, the first thing is every political party member base across the whole of Nigeria. That's the first thing. And then ordinarily, your members become the first charge in terms of those you want to educate to vote for you. The larger electorates in Nigeria are the ones every political party would definitely have to reach to now convince them, look, we're a political party. This is what we stand are national issues now that is very challenging. If you vote us into power, this is exactly what we are going to do different from the government that is there, from the party that is in government as at that time. Is not only the job of the electoral management body, no. Every political party has a lot to do to reach out to the electorate. In countries where vote buying or the electorate are not negatively induced, electorates are going to now make up their mind and make a decision based on the choices that are before them. We have to reach out to them. The market women are very, very critical. It is now understood that women are more patient standing during election day. So they are very good target for every political party that is serious and desirous of winning election. If elections are not negatively, the election results are not negatively affected. Then there are different segments. The civil servant, the work staffs are there. The private sector, they are all there. The middle class are there if we exist in Nigeria. So you really have to manifestos, your election campaign, your time to reach a target audience is very, very important. So there must be something you must let them know. The government in power definitely is doing one thing or the other in the things you want to tell them. But the most important thing is that how are you going to do it differently that will benefit the people? And at the end of the day, it will serve the purpose of the people, and they will feel that, yes, we have a government. So it's very, very important that we definitely have to identify the target audience at all times and then go to town with specific programs that they are going to carry out, policies they are going to carry out. If you vote us, this is exactly what we are going to do, and this is how we are going to do it differently from the government in power, because at all times there must be government in power, and elections must come, and then the business of the day is when you want to campaign, you get to campaign, compare this on ground now, the way you want to bring it about, and how you are going to implement it without tarnishing the image of the next person, but it has to be directly that this is me. I'm going to do it quite different from the other party that is there. If it is wealth creation, definitely our education policy is going to be this way. It's not what you think you have now. Choose from what we're telling you. If it is on health ground, these are the policies that are on ground now. This is exactly the way we're going to do it. We're going to reduce influx of medical tourism outside Nigeria. Instead, we're going to even encourage people to come to Nigeria and have their medical services and equally improve our own revenue, instead of we taking out what is there. Now, this is the kind of money we get from oil. This is exactly how we're going to do it. Now there's a lot of money going to be recovered from those. We can have a dedicated fund for what we are going to apply this money for. So Nigerians are going to be very happy in the day that, yes, if your government is fighting corruption, fine. This is a result of that fighting of the corruption, yes. And we are taking back the proceeds of such result back to the people, so that the people can now feel the impact of exactly what you are going to do. At the end of the day, if you fail, the next 4 years is waiting for you. What are you going to tell them? They're equally going to. You told them the last 4 years, whether you implemented it or not, whether you achieve your target or not. And then if there's a new one coming now, they get to make the comparison, and it is on the basis of those comparisons, what is there, what is going to be, how you did it differently, how you are going to do it, are you still going to tell them lies or not? Then they can now make an informed decision as to who to vote, how they want to vote, and why they should be able to vote. It's very,
very much. Mr. Benson is talking about issue-oriented campaign on water view. I hope you are not reading out your your manifesto on water view, but it's good. There's no hate speech there, actually. We're going on a short break now, and by the time we come back, we're going to have a reflective view of how politics started from the founding fathers. How did it get deteriorated as far as hate speech and some of these campaign of calumny? How did it begin? Why so, if we didn't start it from the beginning? We'll be back. Thank you very much.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any Kurukere person, object or Wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, so plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Minister of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
You welcome NTA Tuesday Live. I still have in the studio Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu and Madam Idayat Hassan, Director, Center for Democracy and Development. And in our Maiduguri Network Center, we still have Comrade Zanna Shatima of the Labour Party, Mr. Gerson Benson, National Chairman, Democratic People's Party, DPP. We still awaiting the arrival of the representative of the PDP on the program. Well, as I said earlier, where did this hate speech emanate from? How did we put it into, let me put it our body politic, as far as politics in the country is concerned. I remember in 1959, when the Zik of Africa started his campaign preparatory to independence of the First Republic. He said, we begin this journey with prosperity to all, but malice to none. It permeated across all the political parties and the political titans of that period. If we had that charity for all, malice to none, why do we have a kind of reversal of that takeoff of the political development of this country? Let's have a reflective view of what really happened in their campaign. Was it a campaign of issue-oriented campaign, or hitting each other or one another? Let's have a reflective view of that. Yes.
I beg of you to think very seriously before casting your vote for the political party which will rule an independent Nigeria. I am sure I am speaking out your mind when I say that we are not trying to substitute British rule for black imperialism. The British have put us through a tutelage of liberal democracy. We have learned to respect the dignity of the individual. We have learned to live under the rule of law. We have learned to fight for the freedom of the individual. Would you like to substitute this so that a number of opportunist black imperialists will rule you and oppress you? I therefore ask you to vote for the NCNC. Support the NCNC candidate. It so happens that I'm one of the NCNC candidates. We have colleges, we have big airports, we have hotels, we have all these civilizing effects in this country. Yet the NPC wants us to continue looking to the past. While we of the NEPU will say we are a party of tomorrow. We believe in tomorrow. We believe in the young children of today. We are prepared to borrow something from the past, but not prepared to go back to the past and then think of the future. If you vote solidly for the action group on the 12th and put that party in power, you will certainly get that wage. One significant thing about the symbol of the action group is that it symbolizes what you want and what I want. That is money.
Well, that was what happened during that period. Just a clip of that. Let me come to Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu. How did you see the campaign of the period at that time? Zik of Africa, talk about the issue at hand. We are trying to go to rule out the vestiges of colonialism. We need to embrace ourselves as a people. Vote me. I so happen I'm the candidate of the NCNC. When we come to Aminu Kanu, issue-oriented. Those are the hot head at that time. They needed change. But you say our party is party for tomorrow. And we come to Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He spoke about the wages, the clamor for more wages at that time. He said, if you vote me, you get what I want, and what I want and what you want to use money. So these are issues.
Yes.
That was how it started in 1959 with the founding fathers of this country. How did it get deteriorated? Is it the complexity of the world today, or Nigeria as a people, instead of going for really national interest, the individualistic tendencies of people, of the politicians and the people themselves? How did it deteriorate?
Well, I think the main problem are us, the elites now. The elites in this country succeeded in dividing us. We, the elites, we, me inclusive, succeeded in making the people to forget about their problems, making the people not to think about issues. We probably collectively as elites contributed in dividing the country in such a manner that we tell what the people want to hear in our localities. When we as elites, me, a Fulani man, my friend in Port Harcourt, as elites, we are friends. Probably what I will tell my people in the village is different from what he will tell his people in the village. When we meet somewhere, we are friends. So we, the elites, I think, are the cause of the problem. We, and thank God, now the people are understanding. And I call on Nigerians to teach us a lesson. We, the elites, any politician who will not bring about unity should be voted out. Let's take a cue from Mr. President. From the time he came to date, he had never said, look, go and vote for everybody in APC. What he says, allow Nigerians to vote for anybody of their choice. So that's a point that, look, here is a person who is the leader of the country from a political party, but asking Nigerians, vote for anybody of your choice. Which means if APC presents anybody that is not credible, the people should not vote for the person. There are extremely good people in PDP. There are extremely good people in APC, in Labour Party, across the parties. So as long as we as a people decide to look at not the parties, but individuals in the parties, who can make the difference? What is the difference between John, Emeka, Mohammed, and Bayo in terms of quality of what their party says it will do, and what are they going to do, or what have they done? Now, leadership matters. Who is the leader of APC? Who is the leader of PDP? I mean, there should be an example of quality in the person leading these parties. Leadership by example. So as long as the leaders of both parties, all parties, lead by example and try to unite the country in asking, let the PDP candidate also come out to say, look, let Nigerians vote according to their conscience. Let Nigerians vote for the best. That's why, look, I thought here, unfortunately, there is no PDP guy. I thought we were going to talk about, like, the next level. What is the next level talking about? What is the making Nigeria work again talking about?
We're talking it now.
Yeah, you know, so that then we can tell the people what next level means. And the PDP will talk about their own, so that we can understand, the people in this country can understand the difference and decide. And may I pray, may the best of us, win.
Please, I think three things are largely responsible aside from what he has said. One is the nature of politics. In those days, like you see, money politics was not the main thing. Politics wasn't zero-sum. It wasn't more about do or die at all costs. You have to win this office. And you can also understand that that is also influenced by the system of government. It wasn't a winner-take-all. So either they were in the majority, NEPU and NCNC were in the majority. At the center, AG had something. It's not like now that you invest your 100 million, which is actually a very small amount of money, and once you lose, you have lost. It's a winner-take-all system. So this winner-take-all system itself...
There are some alliances between MPC and NCNC. So for the Second Republic, we had when Edwin Mezueke from MPP became the Speaker of the House.
So you see, so this lack of winner-take-all, that it means that you do not lose everything, the system of government itself, has now engendered people to go at all costs to ensure that they get into office. And if you look at all these men now, can you find them having 100 houses, 200 houses? Some of them we learned has just got one agbada and a transistor radio, which shows you it was not about money. It was about service to the people. Now, thirdly, again, is the global trend, and that is what will actually be evolving in these 2019 elections. And by global trend is what is also happening elsewhere. Even where people are not doing vote buying, there are ways people are now winning elections. If you look at what has recently happened in Brazil, beyond what has happened in the United States of America, and in several elections, even the Ukrainian elections, you find that people are weaponizing, they are using the warfare, what they should actually have been using to fight Boko Haram in the northeast. Those kind of weaponry, the warfare, are now being used to wage that election war, which they've made election into war. And using those kind of skills of disinformation is further dividing the people. Now, on the issue of leadership, which the Honorable actually spoke about, yes, leadership matters. And some of these parties have got honorable people as leaders, but who are their followers? So today we can gladly say that President Buhari said all those things, and he has actually always presented himself as a very honorable man who is actually impeccable. Nobody can actually talk about him. But go on social media today and see what the people, the APC warlords and the PDP warlords are actually spreading out there just to win votes. So what about the followership?
Yeah, that's one area I want to disagree with Honorable Farouk Ali when he's talking about the PDP. It's not that we have representatives of the parties. The PD and APC, you can talk about next level or whatever. Okay. We have, and especially, madam, when you talk about the winner takes all, why do we register political parties to serve the people? You heard what Aminu Kano said. Ours is a party of tomorrow. We don't necessarily have to be in government, but we have to create public awareness so that they can vote the people that will serve them. That is what we require as political parties. Just today, we had a report in the media, especially from NTA, that their political party said, well, they have given all their votes to Buhari as a president. That is how to develop politics. Let's go to Zanna in Maiduguri. How do you see the politics today reflective of what happened in the past, over the years? Yeah.
In the past, the previous leaders played a politics of accountability. They are accountable to the people. Unlike today in other areas, like in my party, here in the state, we have a governor, but we are supporting the existing president. That is how it is. But the present system, as earlier on said, they don't want to allow any other person to come in and participate. And hence, our argument of full participation. For example, currently there was negotiation between government and the labor. So the political education I was insisting on is the people should ask, for example, in a state, how many million naira or how much were you given as bailout, and how much did you pay to the workers, and what is the remaining balance? That is accountability. And then the common man on the street should be made to participate, ask what is the future of his children, and what will he gain if he participates in the system. But today, you see, political talks were used, ballot snatching, etc. So the real man cannot even go closer to the ballot box to vote because he is being intimidated, harassed, and beaten away from the system. So the previous system were accountable to the people, whereas today, very few, if you like, it may be only one who is accountable to the common man in this system. So based on that, like Zik said and Malam Aminu Kano said, political parties should be built based on their manifesto and issues bothering the common man. Unless and until this is done, the leaders become accountable to the people who elected them into the system. We can't even compare with the past leaders. The way the rate politicking is going with hate speech, blackmailing, and calling names, etc., etc.
Now, let's go to Port Harcourt. I think what you said earlier, Mr. Benson, it tallies well with what Honorable Farouk Aliyu said, talking about really having an avenue where people participate and government has provided that. Especially you talked about issue-oriented campaign. And he said the president has even given the platform that elect, as you said earlier, people that will work for you on whatever platform. And he told, I remember, he told the traditional institutions, the rulers who came to him, various groups, go back to your people, educate them politically so that they know whom to vote that will work for them. Do you see this kind of situation, a kind of rekindling of what happened from the beginning of the political development of this country, from the first republic founding fathers? Yes.
Well, the situation is our leaders today are less patriotic compared to the founding fathers of this country. They were committed to giving governance to the people, committed to ensuring that the people matter so much in whatever thing they are doing. They equally were committed to agree that the outcome of electioneering and electoral campaign and voting as at that time were exactly the wish of the people. And as at that time, the people mattered at the center of it all. But today, the people matter. It's a Machiavellian theory. The end justify the means. You see, if that you have more money, and then you bulldoze yourself to power, and then the people matter less. Just like my friend Farouk has said earlier, when he was in the house, when he come back, and people are thinking about extorting money from you one way or the other. Honestly speaking, it is failure of governance, because those things that are asking money from you is what the system would have provided for them. Some of them will come, their children are out of school, they can't pay school fees. Then what do? They see you as the government they've ever seen us at that time. Most of them say, oh, they want to go to hospital, they don't have money to go, their wife is want to go for antenatal. Because the system, the government itself cannot provide those basic things. Oh, you want to dedicate your child and all that. If people are working the country and the policy...
Mr. Benson, yeah, you know, we spoke about that, even Hidayat talked about that. We say today, when we have a change, when do we have a change? When do we really have electorates who now conscientiously understands what they want? If now we have a program, let's take agriculture. I don't expect, as I said earlier, as an example, my uncle who now benefits from what he does, tilling the soil, shall go and collect money from a politician. When should the electoral change? What do we need to do, as you said earlier, the voter education? How do we bring that? Obviously, government will not come and say, here's food on the table, but it will provide an avenue, just as it's doing today. How do we change the people? How do people understand that a politician, unlike, not like Farouk Aliyu, who goes back home and people come to him, I need money. But instead of asking him, we needed this kind of service from the government, you didn't pursue our case. How do we really get people to understand this?
am making is this. When campaigning and get to the people, tell them the truth and tell them exactly what they should expect from government, and you stick to it. If others were patriotic, like you hear Awolowo there, as at that time there are issues. There will always be issues in the life of a nation, and as at that time, election will address those issues. As at that time, if wages was the problem, he said, if AG win, definitely we are going to increase your distance. As at that time, and Zeke tells you that, look, this is our country, and if you vote my party, this is exactly what is. I mean, you cannot want to tell people our party is a part of the future, but that does not mean you are not going to vote us. This is what we are bringing to the table. The same thing will happen to us now in terms of agriculture. Yes, if, like we said, my uncle, if he gets all he takes, all the inputs, the farming implements are there, the fertilizer, he got this early, and there's a very good yield and all that. Instead of him to come and beg you money, he will have more yield himself and take care of other people. Policies should be people-oriented, and the political parties should equally not to tell the electorate lies. Don't tell them what you cannot implement when you get down there. The economy is volatile. Our Nigerian, our every year budget is based on price of crude oil per barrel. And this is a price you cannot determine. It is an international market. So whatever you are doing, you should know that there's going to be volatility product. When you tell everybody education is going to be free, how are you going to fund it? We should be realistic in the things we tell our people. And again, we should be sincere in the level of governance. When we are sincere, Nigerians will know that, yes, these times are good, these times are hard. And then everybody will work towards the greatness of this country. But our politicians must make sure we win at all costs.
Thank you.
In the process of...
Thank you very much. What you've heard him, and especially he gave example of these bail funds kind of. And that, incidentally, you talk about Mr. President, who said, vote whoever is going to work for you. I think the electors now are given the leverage that perhaps they determine who governs them. Talking about hate speech, and the president wants that you shouldn't burn the nation at the detriment of all of us. How do we relate politically, the political titans, let me put it that way? Let's have a reflective view of Alhaji Yusuf Maitama Sule when he was recalling the relationship among the political leaders at that time and towards a better democracy for the country. Do we have semblance of that, if not entirely that today? Yes, let's have that view, please.
As well as those of us that followed them, were, comparatively speaking, people who were patriotic, nationalistic. They went into politics to serve, but not to be served. To give, but not to take. They tried to serve the nation. No wonder neither Sardauna nor Abubakar Tafawa Balewa left anything substantial. Both of them left mud houses after they had died. None of them had any fat bank account. None of them had any houses for rent. Or none of them had any shares in any company. They went in to serve. Indeed, the Sardauna used to tell us, you cannot combine two things at the same time. You cannot be a leader or a ruler and at the same time a businessman. If any of my ministers is interested in business, let him resign. I will support him and encourage him to do business. But you cannot be my minister and at the same time go into business. That was Sardauna. The late Prime Minister never agreed. He never dreamed that people could be corrupt. If you told him that somebody had got so much money, he said, oh no, please, I can't believe it. It is impossible. He would never agree. Their minds were clean. They were clean. They were decent people. They were honest people. And in spite of their political differences, they had a respect for one another. Wallo, Zik, Sardauna, Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, they all respected one another. I'll tell you one interesting thing. During one of the constitutional conferences, one morning, Chief Awolowo greeted Sardauna and he refused to answer. He used to call him Prince. He said, Prince, what is the matter? The Sardauna told him, look, your man, so and so, I don't want to mention name. He saw me on 2 occasions and refused to greet me. Awolowo did not say a word. He went and got that man and held him by the arm and dragged him to Sardauna and said, kneel down and greet him. If next time you see Sardauna and you don't greet him, I will dismiss you from my party. When I was a minister and Chief Awolowo was leader of the opposition, during the sitting of the House, every morning I would cross the carpet, go and kneel down to greet Awolowo. Prime Minister observed this and one day called me to his office. Say, I have observed that there is a kind of alliance between you and Chief Awolowo. Said, sir, you have taught us to respect elders. And that is why I'm respecting him in spite of our political differences. He said, God bless you. Keep it up. There was a time when a leader in the parliamentary party, NCNC parliamentary party, fell out with Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. He was dropped and he was dismissed from the party. The Prime Minister created a special office in his office and got him employed. He did not want such a high-placed person to be redundant, to be jobless. Meanwhile, he was playing for time, trying to reconcile him and the leader of his party, Dr. Azikiwe, until finally he did. They were reconciled, he was brought back to the party. He did not belong to the NCNC, but he felt that was how it should be done. Those were the days. Those were the days.
Those were the days. We still have such experience today that leaders lead by example. Just as Mr. President said, that we should not burn the nation. We should concentrate on issues. And right from the time he got his certificate of return, when INEC declared him as the winner of the elections, he said everybody should come over and embrace the nation. And today he's talking about 2019, just as you said, that you elect those that will work for you. I'm not campaigning for myself. If you fit me, okay, go ahead. And they relate together in that manner. Is it the fault of the leaders or those surrounding them, the political titles, so to speak?
Well, I think mostly, in some cases, the leaders, and mostly the followers, I mean, those around. Let's look at Jonathan Goodluck. When he lost the election, the singular phone call he did to then General Muhammadu Buhari, he showed statesmanship. Even though today at the book launch, we heard, when they said some of his close allies told him not to concede. But he refused to listen to them and went ahead and conceded. That's good statesmanship. Now, when you cross over to Buhari, Buhari has consistently, just as you rightly said, go and secure your constituencies, whether you are in whichever party. Ensure the people vote whoever. Whenever people go to visit him, he talks as a father of nation, father of all. He is the president of everybody. So, by not saying, look, you must vote for every person in APC, I think those are the kind of things that we should emulate. And also, here is a leader In Buhari, who I can tell you he has only one bank account. Honestly, he has only one bank account, and we know he has probably 2.5 houses. We know he does not have business. He had never ever done any business. And today, if you ask him how much money does he have, he will tell you. So we still have those kind of people of yesterday. We have in Buhari, and I'm sure we have also in the PDP. There are some members in the PDP too that are like that. Which means in Nigeria here, there are people like Zik, like Awo, like Aminu Kano, and like Buhari. But as of today, we thank God. We have in Buhari those kind of attributes that see what you see is what you get. We, the politicians around him, sometimes don't like the way he behaves because he has refused to behave the way politicians behave.
How do politicians behave?
Well, politicians
in
always...
Nigeria?
Yes, in Nigeria. Mostly. Nigerians always want, like politicians always want everything their party, their party, their party. Us in APC, a lot of members are accusing the president in still maintaining some appointees who are from the previous government. And when you speak to him, you say, look, they are Nigerians. I did not come here to work for APC. I'm here to work for Nigeria. I remember one time when people came that Emefiele must be dropped. That Emefiele did this, Emefiele did that. He said, look, I am the leader of this country. I'm not only the leader of APC. If anybody has anything wrong against him or any other person, then we can take actions. But we should not remove anybody because he belongs to the other party. So when politicians understand that, look, we have this country, whether PDP or APC, that's why this government continue with all the projects, most of the projects started by the previous government. They started 365 roads in 2001. By 2015, 244 of them were abandoned because they didn't have money. We continue with those projects. The rail system in this country was continued, is going on by this government. The road networks, second other bridge.
Yes.
The money economy of this country, which we were depending on the oil. This government decided to open agriculture, decided to open the mineral resources, to ensure that, look, let's have something different to increase our GDP, to ensure that, look, we as a nation, look at us as a country, whether Jonathan, Emeka, Mohammed, whoever started something, should be continued because it is our money, collective money.
Yes.
This government does not believe in stopping a project, starting its own, because it's our money, our government, our country, our people.
You think the leaders of the party, so those surrounding them?
It's one first thing is the nature of the political parties. In those days, we had political parties, really. You had political parties driven by ideology with good leadership and discipline, party discipline. That is why you will get the Saudana, or who, as Alhaji Matiama Sule is telling us, and will bring somebody and say, kneel down to this person. So you had party discipline, and the whole thing about party was also about the interest of the masses. But now, if you ask what the definition of political party will be to people, it's a cartel, ethnic group, godfather, culturation of different people with different views, such that that thing that is actually called party discipline, what the party agenda is, supremacy of the party itself and its position, is no longer in existence. And when we talk in terms of political parties, I think one thing we are not realizing is that until we have very good and very strong political parties, what they call the consolidation of institutionalized political parties, the consolidation of democracy becomes very, very difficult. So it's not about APC, it's not about PDP, it's not about the Zenith Labour Party or the DPP or all these new 91 political parties. It is how well those political parties are able to stand. That is when they can start delivering the dividend of democracy to the people. So leadership matters, but it's not going to just be the leadership of Mr. President. What about the leadership of the party? What about the followership? Do they have discipline? Will they be penalized? How many people have been expelled for parties on cogent and genuine reasons? Like these reasons, which are very small, but it talks about peaceful cohesion and a united front for Nigeria.
Yeah, Zanna, you've heard what Maita Masula said, and the issue of party supremacy, ideology and water view. How do you see the situation today? How do we need to go further?
Yes, the issue today, one can say it's because of lack of party discipline and the machinery in place. In my party, the Labour Party, we respect rules and regulation of the party. In my party, we promise to see that there is a negotiation or understanding between the voters and the person looking for the vote. Explain to the party voters what the party is going to do by its manifesto, and then allow them to partake in the system so that they will dictate to the party. But today is not the issue. Godfatherism will impose leadership. In the recent past primaries, the complaints people have been making is the imposition of people right from primary, even before we reach the national election. But in the past, Maita Masule, Mala Aminu Kano, Zik, Awolowo, they are accountable to their followers. They discuss issues with their followers. Unlike today, we don't even have continuity in many places. Now, the federal government agreed is continuing the project left over, but go around the states and local governments. If a person period is over, the next person coming will start afresh. Many abandoned projects of all kinds. So unless, like I earlier said, we need one thing in this country, a credible and independent institution to monitor the politicians and the voters, whose responsibility will be to educate the voters of their sovereignty, their responsibility, the powers and authority belongs to them. To discourage them from selling their votes, we printed some documents. Don't sell your vote. The desirability, what is your economic situation? All this, the Zenith Labour Party explains to the voters what they should do and what they should not do. So the main issue we have here is for the people to understand and the leaders also to appreciate that they were on this seat to serve the people. The past leaders, you will not have any one of them with 2, 3 houses or even vehicles. But today, somebody coming to governance, towards the end of the tenure, he will go for jet. When Buhari came, higher percentage of our state governors have owned jets. Some have gone to sell it, this and other things. So corruption has taken, and we have to instill discipline from the level, even to our public, so that this corruption issue should be less, and then people should appreciate they are responsible. There are responsibilities for the masses who voted them into the power, and the masses at the same time should realize that it is their vote that gives the leader the powers and authority, without which it cannot work.
Let's go to Port Harcourt and get his own view, the way forward, and we're coming back to wind up this discussion. How's the way forward reflective of what used to happen? And today, especially now that everybody is looking forward to Mr. President, is not the only person that you look toward to deliver, especially in transforming the nations. Yes.
We have 91 political parties, and each of these parties have national chairmen. All of them have. And then about 80-something of them have presidential candidates. They are all Nigerians. They are quality people. Yes, leadership is very, very important in everything we are talking about. Our politics of late has been characterized by impunity, imposition, and godfatherism. And that was why when PDP came, they told Nigerians to our face they are going to rule Nigeria as many years as they think fit. But thank God there was a need for Nigerians to think of an alternative. The alternative has come. Nigerians are equally the beneficiaries of that alternative. And then average man on the street equally knows which way to go. This is another election. Equally come. If we go by what has happened with the stories of the big two political parties about their primaries, right from their presidential primaries down to the governorship primaries, status of assembly and national assembly, then the question is, are they getting it right? There was a time in this country where immediately you become a candidate of PDP, no matter who you are, no matter your quality, your personality is as good as you have won election. And the ruling party today, peace, have assumed the same dimension. That is why there's a lot of hiccups in their last primaries. And then you begin to ask, where are we going to? Mr. President is right. Nigerians, please vote according to your conscience and the best you think can deliver. That is true. But what happened in the field? Can that be actualized? The answer is no. So we need more patriotic Nigerians to lead political parties. We need more political to become candidates in the elections. We need more patriotic Nigerians that will think about how this country can catch up with other countries of the world, not only making Nigeria down. How come we came to the point where they say, oh, Nigeria is the poorest country in the world? We must reject it. So immediately the government is at the center. Everybody knows the best thing every citizen can do is to support the government because the man at the center to serve the people. And that does not say that other political parties during the election period cannot tell the Nigerians we can do.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Benson. Let's come from and end this discussion from the beginning. What I meant from the beginning, well, you've already started talking about the next level. Actually, Mr. President, if we reflect back to 1984, you remember the NTA jingle, Andrew, who wanted to check out. The same president, then as military head of state, he said, Nigeria is our country. We've got no other one. We must remain here and salvage it together. On the same point, he's talking about really coming together to save the country. The politicians who are expected to bring the platform for change should not be the people that really blow the embers of problems in this country, let me put it that way. The way forward now, as we conclude this discussion, based on Mr. President's warning. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the way forward, it's one, the beauty of democracy. All the parties that have imposed candidates, that's from the primaries issues now. Any party that imposes a candidate, not a choice, not choice of the people, then the people down will decide. So that's the beauty of democracy. So if there's any imposition anywhere, across party lines, the electors should decide. We move forward. Then, mine is a plea to all of us, as politicians, as Nigerians. Unfortunately, the social media, which is the trend all over the world, is not helping matters. Ambers of hate and so on. When you go on social media, you see all sorts of things. But look, let's agree that no matter what you see on the social media, try to remember that you need a country. Let us not divide ourselves according to religious, ethnic, because look, Leadership has got nothing to do with ethnicity. Absolutely. You could be a good leader from any tribe. You could be a bad leader from any tribe. So let us keep ourselves as one people, one country, our brothers keepers, to ensure that we go and campaign in peace, harmony, and unity. And then let the people decide. And I pray in that decision, it will be my party.
Yes, there's another campaign. But
not hate speech.
Yes, madam, yes.
I think importantly is, again, politicians will know that when they have something to campaign on, there is no need for hate speeches. There are lots of things you can tell people. And now, this election is not going to be about dancing. It's not going to be about going to the areas, dance, and you don't say what you really want to do, because PVC power is there. In churches, in mosques, everywhere, people are talking about PVC power. So it's about issue-based campaign. But beyond the issue-based campaign, also, we all have to be peace agents. We are agents of peace, like we have been saying since morning. The country is already suffering from varying level of insecurity, which, of course, predates this administration. We all know it. But again, it's not just about the military approach. It's also about what we all bring onto the table in terms of stemming some of this violence. So we need in Nigeria to continue to live, because nobody wants to be in a situation of war. And the politicians also need in Nigeria to rule upon, so all these divisive behaviors will not go. So we are all stakeholders in this process. And it's not just about us, it's also about the media platform and what they are actually putting out there for the people. So we are all actors here.
Thank you very much, Idayat Hassan, Director, Center for Democracy and Development, a lawyer and development expert. Thank you for coming, for sharing with us all those wonderful experience you've had in the fields of play. I hope you've gotten your PVC.
Yes.
Honorable Farouk Adamu Ali, thank you very much for coming. Thank you. I know we'll come again more and more on this program. Yes. Thank you for sharing from your experience. Anytime you are distributing money, please give them seed, improve seeds to plants. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think the next level will continue with all those laudable projects of government. Yes. Well, Mr. Gaston Benson, National Chairman, Democratic People's Party, DPP, from Port Harcourt, thank you for being with us and sharing with us your experiences, and of course the kind of words of advice you have for the polity generally and the social system towards a better Nigeria with good politics. Comrade Zanna Shatima, Zenith Labour Party, thank you very much coming from Maiduguri. It's good to hear that the security is good now, that we're going to the polls free. Thank you very much for coming, for being with us. Thank you very much. And that has been Tuesday Live. I'm Aliyu Baba Baro. Thank you for watching, just heeding the warning, no advice of Mr. President. That is not only the politicians, let's remind ourselves, the social system generally, the electoral, everybody, the community, the individual voters, and security, the school system, everybody. We put our hands on deck for better Nigeria, towards a desired political culture for the country. 2019 elections will be a successful one, just like the experience we had in 2015. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
يا مالك الملك ذو الجلال والإكرام يا الله يا مقسط يا الله يا جامع يا الله يا غني يا الله يا مغني
I am Alioha Emmanuel Nhechi Naise. I'm from Imo State. My husband is from Abia State. We reside here in